Welcome in. Belly up, have a seat, grab a drink as we talk some Wingman Fantasy Football. Welcome on into another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Furley, and as always, I'd like to thank all of you, or any of you who may be watching or listening to today's show. It is Sunday, December 14th. This is episode 212, and we're about to do part number 2 of our Week 15 preview. Before we get started here, guys, I want to say I apologize. Usually we get this show out on Friday, but as you may or may not know, this is my busiest time of year at work, and due to just full exhaustion and or lack of hours in the day, I put this off, and I'm getting out to you on Sunday morning, so I apologize for the delay, but I want to make sure to get you all the information that we normally would before the Sunday's matchups here. This is going to be our full preview. If it's a little later in the morning, you don't have time for the full show, we will have our Sunday morning quickie posted just soon after this, which will be an abridged cut down to the bare bones facts of what we're going to get through this episode here. So if you want the long version, stay here with me right now. If you want the short version, find our Sunday morning quickie to help you set your fantasy football lineups. All right, with that being said, guys, in this show, we'll check in on some player news and practice reports. We'll let you know our show starts of the week, and we'll preview the remaining NFL games for the rest of Sunday and Monday night. And we'll also dive into our mailbag segment. But before we do any of that, I'd like to make sure that everybody is in the room. Wingmen assemble! All right, now that everyone is here, let's get right into it. Let's check in on some player news. Starting off with, this has been an interesting saga all season long here, as we've got the Brandon Ayuk has been placed on the reserve left squad list. I've never heard of such a list, but it's pretty clear what it means. He is gone. He's left the squad. A very funny designation, but all this really means is his 2025 season is officially over. He has been sent away from the team. Terrell Jennings, backup running back for the New England Patriots, was placed on the IR, and the team is calling up Dearness Johnson to now be the third back behind Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson. Christian McCaffrey popped up on the injury report on Saturday with a back issue, although early reports are saying that he should be good to go for Sunday's contest against the Tennessee Titans. We'll double check that a little bit later in our Sunday morning quickie with hopefully a little more clear path here to his availability. All right, Tutu Atwell, receiver for the LA Rams, has been activated. The receiver for the Rams will be on the field today, just giving another long, deep threat here for Matthew Stafford. All right, this one's very interesting, guys, here. Grandpa, and this is not even joking, Grandpa is, Phillip Rivers is a grandpa. He was signed this week. He's now been activated, and he's expected to start for the Indianapolis Colts. Oh my, oh my. I kind of wish my co-host Bernie was here because I wanted to ask him before he had his love affair for Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence. I believe Phillip Rivers was the original mediocre, okay, good quarterback that he just loved so much. He'll have a chance to defend himself later, but that's how I remember it anyway. Also on that same Indianapolis Colts here, Riley Leonard, who filled in for the injured Daniel Jones last week, was injured all week with, I forget the exact, a leg issue. Was listed as week to week. However, he's practicing full, and he's also expected to be active today. So there's a chance that both these guys will get on the field, which means you can't play either of them. Hopefully, they will lean on the running game, and Jonathan Taylor can get back to his elite form. Speaking about other elite running backs here, we have Josh Jacobs and his backup, Emmanuel Wilson, are listed as questionable for Sunday's game against the Broncos. The Packers have already elevated Pierre Strong from the practice squad, and Chris Brooks may see an expanded role if either of the top two running backs for Green Bay are unavailable or limited. At the moment, Josh Jacobs is expected to go, and Emmanuel Wilson is kind of a game time decision, but trending on the side of being ready to go. Nonetheless, both these guys have a chance to be at very minimum limited in their production today. So keep an eye on either lowering their ceilings here or keeping Chris Brooks as an emergency backup plan here. All right, Tyrod Taylor has been ruled out for the Jets, which means Justin Fields should get back on the field. Nope, that's not true. Justin Fields has also been ruled out, meaning rookie Brady Cooks, who came in last week against the Dolphins, will make his first NFL start this week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sticking with more quarterbacks who have been ruled out this week, Jayden Daniels has been ruled out after aggravating that elbow injury. It means Marcus Mariota will get back on the field for the Commanders against the New York Giants. Geno Smith has also been ruled out, which means Kenny Pickett will get a revenge game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, this is going to be a field day for the Eagles defense, potentially. Other players that are ruled out this week, Marvin Harrison Jr. for the Arizona Cardinals has been ruled out with a heel injury. That will now be 2 consecutive games that he will be out of the lineup. In Cleveland, we have backup running back Dylan Sampson has also been ruled out, which means Raheem Sanders and Travion Williams will get some run behind Quinshon Judkins. David Njoku has also been ruled out. Harold Fannin has been the better of the 2 tight ends all year long, but without having Njoku on the field today, Fannin will be a main player in a very cold game against the Chicago Bears. Devon the Man Achane.
Now you're a man. M-A-N, man.
Who was knocked out of last week's game with a rib injury, is expected to be good to go for the Miami Dolphins on Monday night. But because this game is Monday night, we want you all out there just to be safe. Have an insurance plan backup in case something changes here. He is expected to play. However, you should definitely consider rostering players like Jaylen Wright or Ollie Gordon as an emergency insurance policy in case anything changes for Achane's availability. Rome Odunze, who sat out last week with a foot injury, has the team's optimism that he should return to the field in Week 15. Nonetheless, he is banged up, so we're going to lower our expectations. Aaron Jones for the Minnesota Vikings has been dealing with that shoulder injury for the last several weeks. Practice in full, finishing out the week here, has no injury designation and will be on the field for Week 15. Now for a couple players who suffered concussions this past week. CeeDee Lamb, who was knocked out in Week 14 with a concussion, has cleared the protocol, and he will be back on the field for the Dallas Cowboys in Week 15. T. Higgins is not quite as lucky as he suffered his second concussion within the past 3 games. He has been ruled out for Week 15 against the Baltimore Ravens. I want to give a little shout out here to my co-host Bernie. After watching the game, he saw that he looked banged up and concussed, even though he did not leave the game, and gave us the early heads up that there might be a later in the week after the game designation with a concussion. That is true. He is out once again. So we've got some backup plans. There's Andre Yusufis and Mitch Tinsley. I personally like Tinsley better between the two. He gets more targets, I think, and is more of a deep threat. And also Mike Gesicki would be another primetime secondary target, of course, behind Jamar Chase. Mark Andrews, who popped up during the week with a glute injury, returned to practice in full, has no injury designation, and should be good to go for Week 15 against the Cincinnati Bengals, who give up the very most in NFL history, points to the tight end. DK Metcalf, who was hospitalized with a stomach illness after Week 14's game, returned to practice on Friday. He should be good to go for Week 15. Nick Chubb, however, is expected to miss Week 15 with a rib injury. Woody Marks, already in a plus matchup, will just get elevated workload, even more so than he's already been getting. Little teaser for our starts of the week later in the show. And Chris Rodriguez, who's dealing with a groin injury, is listed as questionable, and he's truly a game-time decision. If you've been holding on to Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, or he's out there on your waiver wire and you're desperate for some flex play here, I would consider putting Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt on your bench now. And if he's inactive, it's a really good matchup against the Giants. Again, this is for desperate players. We're not going to start him over our mainstays, but if you're like, man, I've got no one to play, you might get gifted a Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt lead back role in a very plus matchup against the Giants. All right, guys, we're going to get right into it and let you know who we are going to suggest to you to start this week in this week's Starts of the Week.
Bring it in. Take a knee. Who wants in?
Oh, pick me! Oh, I know, me!
All right, son, don't let me down. You're in.
Wingman Fantasy Football. starts of the week.
All right, guys, I mention this every time we do this. We are not above accountability here. We try to pick players that are on the fringes of being startable players, your streamers and your wide receiver threes, running back threes, stuff like that, and quarterback twos to threes that can get in your lineup. So preface that we're not picking the automatic superstars, which would be obvious. So these are, when we give you our records here, it's based on fringe starters that we think you can get in your lineup. Again, enough of the excuses. Let's get to the accountability. Going into week 14, our total in terms of being success versus failure was 31 and 43. Ouchie, ouchie. I admit, doesn't sound so hot, but we'll break it down a little bit before we get into this week's picks. I was 17 and 19 going into last week, while Bernie was 14 and 23 going into last week. The quarterback start of the week for week 14, this is last week now, for Bernie was Jordan Love, projected at 17.7 points, came through with a 21.4 output. That was a green check mark for Bernie's quarterback start of the week. My quarterback start of the week last week was Tyler Shuck, projected at 15.4, came in with a nice 23.3 points. So both of us got the green marks on our quarterback starts of the week. Bernie's running back start of the week last week was Keanshawn Judkins, projected at 12.6. Unfortunately, came in at 8.9 to get the thumbs down for his running back start of the week last week. My running back start of the week for week 14, remember this is last week, was Chase Brown, projected at 14.1, got in the end zone twice to earn himself 17 points and the green check mark for me for running back. His receiver start of the week last week for Bernie was Brenton Strange, projected at 8.2, came in at about half that at 4.2. Another X mark on his ledger here. And I went with Cortland Sutton, who is close, but close is not good enough. Projected at 10.9, came in at 9.2. Didn't kill you, nonetheless, was not considered a success. So last week I was 2-1, Bernie was 1-2. Our total as a show through 14 weeks was 34 and 47, while I improved to 19 and 20, and Bernie is at 15 and 25. We're giving you these numbers here, so when we tell you our starts of the week this week, you have all the information based on our success rate, and you can make your decisions based on what we suggest from that. Again, accountability, transparency. Here we go. All right, my start of the week for Bernie's start of the week at quarterback this week. He's going for the double dip, going back to Shedeur Sanders, who was projected at 14.5 points. Sanders is playing against the Bears this week, who give up the fourth most points to the quarterback position. My quarterback start of the week is Brock Purdy versus the Tennessee Titans, who give up the 10th most points to the quarterback position. He's projected strongly at 20 points even. I'm hoping he can beat that in a plus matchup at home today. Bernie's running back start of the week is Jordan Mason at 7.3 points projected. Mason's going against the Cowboys, who give up the 6th most points to the running back position. I think when he initially made this pick here, he was expecting or planning on Aaron Jones missing time. He will be on the field, however, he is banged up, so it'll definitely be close to a 50-50 or so. And if Aaron Jones gets banged up during the game, Mason will have more opportunity in this particular game. Nonetheless, he's going with Jordan Mason, projected at a very modest 7.3. Even with the 50% workload, he should be able to top that. My running back start of the week is Woody Marks against the Arizona Cardinals, who give up the 4th most points to the running back position. With the absence of Nick Chubb and the good matchup, I'm hoping that Mark can beat his projection of 11.7 points. Bernie's receiver start of the week, he's going with the hometown team, the Miami Dolphins, on Monday night. Jaylen Waddle projected at 11.9 points against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who give the 6th most points to the wide receiver position. Now, this one's might be a little controversial to some here, but we're going to get into it right here. I am going with Justin Jefferson. This seems like a slam dunk, but he is ranked outside the top 30 for receivers all year. Clearly one of, if not the biggest draft day bust. Projected at 12.8 points is against the Dallas Cowboys, who give up the most points to the wide receiver position. If he's ever going to do it, it's going to be this week. It's going to be now. And if you were able to get in the playoffs with him having a dismal year for you this year, do not fret. put him back in your lineup once more, as this will be the week he will help you advance to the semifinals of your fantasy football playoffs. So with that being said, a quick recap. He's got Shedeur Sanders, Jordan Mason, and Jaylen Waddle for his starts of the week, while I'm going with Brock Purdy, Woody Marks, and Justin Jefferson. All right, guys, it is now time to get to this week's NFL preview, where we break down the games. I've come to a new little bit of a way to break down how I expect these players to perform this week. So we're going to go through the games. I'm going to give you whether I'm going to break this down in must play, could play, should sit, must sit type players for each team in each of these matchups. All right, let's get into it. Our first game we're going to go through this time is a friendly reminder here. We're doing the second half of the slate. So there's 8 games we're going to go over right now. If the game you're looking for is not in this group of 8, go to our Wednesday show, our waiver wire show. That has the other 8 games that were broken down on that show. All right, let's get into it here. Our first game we're going to go through today is the Arizona Cardinals at 3-10, heading into Houston to take on the Texans, who are at 8-5 and on, I think, a 5-game winning streak, or is it a 6-game winning streak? Anyway, they've been playing great as of late. Let's see here. The over-under is 42.5, and Houston is favored by 9.5 points. I'm going to take the under on this one, as the Houston defense, I think, is going to suffocate the Arizona Cardinals, who have been scoring in comeback mode. They are not going to get that chance today. And in terms of picking the spread and the winner, I'm going with Houston to keep it rolling. They are going to cover the 9.5 at home, which means they're going to win this game as well. All right, let's get into our players for the Arizona Cardinals real quick. We've got Jacoby Brissett, who's been one of the most consistent quarterbacks since he's taken over for the last 8 weeks. He's actually ranked as the quarterback 8 in terms of fantasy points per game. We're doing this points per game because not all these players play every single game this year. So Jacoby Brissett is actually the 8th ranked quarterback against points per game since he's gotten the start. But he's playing against the team who gives up the fewest points to the quarterback position. Besides him being hot, guys, he is a should sit. Brissett should not be in your lineups. Look for other options if you can find him. Going on the running back side of the ball here for the Arizona Cardinals, we got Bam Knight. Again, he is not a highly rated. I got a 41 in points per game. Granted, he was on the field as a backup role earlier, but they're going against a team who give up the 8th fewest points to the running back position. I know Bam Knight has been a questionable in terms of a flex. He's a must sit today. Michael Wilson, who has been one of the hottest receivers in all the league, especially since Marvin Harrison has been out, which he will be out again today, which means he's been giving you 16 to 25 points in games without Marvin Harrison. However, guys, he is going to be a should sit. The Houston defense is just dominating, giving up the 3rd fewest points to wide receivers. This is a sneaky play. Try and avoid Michael Wilson today. I know he gets them all the looks, guys, but they're going to be swallowed up today. As a quick projection here, I'm going to say he's going to get 6 catches for 60 yards at most, something like that. So he's looking at an under 10-point game, in my opinion. All right, our next player here for the Arizona Cardinals at tight end, Trey McBride, is the number 1 ranked tight end. It is a tough matchup against the Texans, who give the 5th fewest points to tight ends. But the way I look at it here, if you've got an elite player, which Trey McBride is, his worst he can be is a could play. We're going to look for other options, but you can't sit your elite players here. So you could play unless you have someone like George Kittle or another player who's so good also. If you've got 2 of the top 4 guys in terms of elite guys, maybe I would go away from McBride. But McBride's going to be in your lineup. Just expect his ceiling to be much lowered today. Let's get into the special teamers for Arizona real quick. Chad Ryland is ranked 28th in terms of points per game for kicker, playing against those Texans who give the fewest points to kickers this year. This is a must-sit. Chad Ryland's had his ups and downs and helped you sometimes in the year. This is not the week he's going to do it. You must sit Chad Ryland. You can even cut him and look for other kickers out there today. And the Arizona defense is ranked 25th points per game. It's a middle-of-the-road matchup in terms of the Houston Texans here, but nonetheless, this is a should sit, as it's not a plus matchup with a lesser-ranked defense. On the other side of the ball, let's get over to the Houston Texans here at quarterback. CJ Stroud is playing a little bit better, but he's still the 30th ranked quarterback in terms of points per game. Remember, he's missed about three games earlier for Davis Mills. Those games don't count. These are games that he played, and he's still the 30th ranked quarterback in points per game. It is a middle of the road matchup as the Arizona Cardinals give it the 14th fewest points to CJ Stroud. But honestly, guys, CJ Stroud is not good enough to put in unless it is a green matchup. He is a should sit today. Woody Marks up against the team because of the fourth most points to the running back position. We mentioned at the start of the week. I have him as a could play in terms of general equations here, but with the absence of Nick Chubb, he's going to bump up to a should play. He should be in everyone's lineup today if he is on your roster, in my opinion. He's ranged from a good play, and I'm giving him the personal bump up to a should play. On to Nico Collins, super studly here, and a top-rated receiver here. It is a moderate matchup. We're going to put this as a could play. He's probably going to be in your lineup. I'm not looking to get him out of your lineup. Nonetheless, there might be better options out there, but he's definitely not a sit here. You might just move him down from wide receiver 1 or 2 down to flex, but either way, he's going to be in your lineup. Dalton Schultz in a very plus matchup this against the team that gives up the 8th most points to tight ends. He's also going to be a could play as he's a back end number 1 tight end, a good player and a good match, an okay player and a good matchup. But nonetheless, we have more high profile tight ends. For example, just to get it right here, people like Waller, likely even Mark Andrews, I'm going to put in ahead of Schultz, but not much more than that. Schultz is a could play. We're not looking to sit him unless you have better options. Now for the special teamers here for the Houston Texans, Kaime Fairbairn is ranked number 3 in points per game, going against the Cardinals, who give up the 3rd most points to kickers. This is a must play. You would do it anyway. I'm just reiterating it. I'm trying to do this little matrix here to verify my thoughts to see if these guys should be in your lineup. Kaime Fairbairn is a must play today, as is the Houston defense, who is ranked 4th in terms of fantasy points per game, and in a plus matchup against the Cardinals, who give the 6th most points to defense. The Houston Texans are a must play. Now for some flex options in terms of the Houston Texans here, I've got Jaden Higgins and Christian Kirk. Again, the passing game and passing defense for the Cardinals is not a plus matchup. It's a middle-of-the-road matchup, and being that these guys are not great and CJ Stroud is not great, we're going to stay away from these flex options. So our must-starts are the special teamers for Houston, Kaime Fairbairn, and the defense. Our should-starts are Woody Marks, and our could-starts are Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz, but Collins is going to be in your lineup for sure. On the other side of the ball, the only guy we could start is Trey McBride, and you're not going to sit him just because of his pedigree here, but it is a tough matchup this week for the Cardinals tight end. All right, on to our next game. This one has the Green Bay Packers at 9-3-1. Heading into Denver Broncos, guys. We've got 2 division leaders playing against each other, and both these guys are going to rest on their defenses this week. The Broncos are 11-2. The over-under is 42.5, and Green Bay is a road favorite at 2.5. I think this game is also going to be under, as these defenses are going to dominate the play here. And I'm picking Denver to cover and win. Well, obviously they're the underdog. So if they win, they will cover. I'm going with the home team here, guys. This one's going to be close. This was a tough one here, but I'm going with Denver to get the victory and cover the 2.5 points. And I've come to that conclusion based on my new ranking matrix here, as on the Green Bay side, it is all red with a little bit of yellow. All right, what players do we have here to look over for the Green Bay Packers? Jordan Love, who had back-to-back strong weeks, still rated as the 19th quarterback in terms of fantasy points per game because of his lower duds. But nonetheless, the Denver Broncos give the 5th fewest points to quarterbacks. Honestly, he is a should sit. Jordan Love is a should sit for me today. Now for our running back, Josh Jacobs, who's dealing with that knee injury, is mostly dealing with swelling, as there's no structural damage there. He's an elite player, but again, a tough matchup. The Broncos give the 4th fewest points to the running back position. Very similar to Trey McBride. You're not going to sit Josh Jacobs if he's active, but I would lower my expectation. He is now going to fall into a RB2 at best and a flex consideration here. Doesn't mean he's still going to be in your lineup, but I'm just saying that in terms of where you're kind of ranking him in your brain here. So if you've got automatic better plays, this would be an opportunity to sit Jacobs, but you're never going to do that. So we're just going to put him as a could play, and he's going to be in your lineup. Other players here, Christian Watson, has been great since his return. He's actually ranked as the 11th receiver in terms of points per game. But in a tough matchup against those Broncos who give up the 6th fewest points to wide receiver, I'm putting this down as a should sit. Christian Watson has been great, but I'm looking for other options today. He's going to be on my should sit category. Luke Musgrave's not even what we're talking about. Going to sit him. Brandon McManus hasn't been great this year. It's a medium matchup, so I'm going to put him as a should sit as well. As with the Green Bay Packers defense, I had the Green Bay Packers defense on my team for most of the year. I finally dropped them. You know their defense is great in terms of NFL, but you know they score the 25th most points per game in fantasy. They are not a good fantasy defense. There's no way around it, guys. Good defense gets pressures, but do not get a lot of sacks. They get 2 sacks a game. Maybe 1 interception. They're getting 3 to 5 points at most. There's better options out there. So we should sit the Green Bay defense. Honestly, it was a sabotage drop in our league. When I dropped the Green Bay defense, they went on to another manager's team who needed to win to make the playoffs. They scored only 2.5 points, and he missed out on the playoffs by less than 2 points. If he would have had any of his other streaming defenses, he would have been in the playoffs, just to show you how much what we think how good their defense is not the case in terms of fantasy. All right, on the other side of the ball, Denver Broncos. Bo Nix is decent, rated as the 11th highest quarterback in terms of points per game. Nonetheless, this matchup is not favorable. Green Bay Packers give up the 7th fewest points to the quarterback position. I'm putting Bo Nix in my should sit category. All right, RJ Harvey getting all the workload now. He's rated as the 26th running back in terms of points per game. I give him a bump up as he is trending in the hot. He's trending hot here as his average is not reflective of his new role. So I'm going to bump him up in terms of how good he is. Nonetheless, it is another tough matchup against the Green Bay Packers. You give the 9th fewest points to running backs. I know it sounds weird, guy. I've got Harvey on my team. I'm sitting him. I put him in a should sit. Doesn't mean you can't play him. Obviously, it depends on your options, but I put him in that should sit based on my new metrics here, based on what they've done, how hot they are, and the matchup and game script. I'm putting Harvey as a should sit. All right, Cortland Sutton is a top 24 receiver going against a team who gives up the 13th fewest points to the wide receiver. So a back-end good receiver to a medium matchup. So he is a medium play at a could start. I would say he's a flex for you. A wide receiver 2 if your team is slim. On to our tight end, Evan Ingram. I'm not going to go through all the stats here. He's a should sit. Will Lutz is a should sit. And the Broncos defense is a could play as they're going against a team who gives up the fewest points to opposing defenses in terms of fantasy. Do the Packers here. So we like the defense. Denver's defense is ranked number 2 overall in points per game. So they are awesome. But they're also playing against a team who gives up the fewest. So that give and take there puts them right in the middle. So we're going to put them as a could play. I wouldn't drop them for anybody else. But if I had other streaming defenses already on my roster or was spaced to get them, I would consider other options. All right, our next game number 11 of the 16-game slate this week, is the Detroit Lions at 8-5 going on the road this week to take on the LA Rams at 10. Who are at 10-3. This game's a 4:25 Eastern Time kickoff. This is our first of the later afternoon games. The over/under is 55. I am torn here. I didn't actually put a designation. I didn't write this one down. I'm going under, and it's close because I've got a lot more red here than green, even though there is some green. There's some spot good plays, but not everyone in this matchup is an automatic play. I'm going to take LA Rams are favored by 6 points with that big of a spread. I'm taking LA Rams to win, but I'm taking Detroit to get it inside that 6 points. All right, this is a tough matchup, medium matchup here for Jared Goff, but he's also a medium quarterback, so he's a could start. We've got an elite player in Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back who gets the 3rd most points in points per game, but they're going against the defense who is elite at stopping the run. They give up the 3rd fewest points to the LA Rams. Again, that balance out, good versus good. We're going to put him as a could start. You're never going to sit Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm just saying his expectations and his ceiling should be lower today. He's a could start in terms of designation. He's going to be in your lineup. Amon-Ra St. Brown, another elite player, scores the 5th most points at the receiver in a medium matchup. So he is going to be a should start. Obviously, he's going to be in your lineup. Tight end Anthony Fursker is a should sit. Jake Bates, I like him. I like Jake Shakin' Bates.
Shake and bake!
But he is rated as the 11th kicker in terms of points per game, and they're going against a team who gives up the 10th fewest. Again, that combination of matrix, he's a should start. There should be other options out there at kicker this week. Bates is should sit. I think I said start. Should sit. Jake Bates is should sit. And the defense for the Detroit Lions and a tough mat. They rank 19th in terms of points per game scored, up against the team who gives up the 8th fewest points. Again, bad combination. Should sit the defense for Detroit this week. Now for our flex options for Detroit. David Montgomery and Isaac TeSlaa, again, based on these matchup guys, should sit both these players. I'm sorry to say it. Montgomery's been slowing down, but every once in a while he gets a touchdown or two. This, in terms of matchup and matrix, David Montgomery should not be your flex today. On the other side of the ball, there's a lot of red, but there's some dark greens in this matchup. So we have some very smash playable players for the Rams, starting off with Matthew Stafford, rated as the 6th scoring quarterback in terms of points per game, up against the Detroit Lions, who are very good against the run and not so good against the pass. They give up the 7th most points to quarterbacks. This is a must start. Matthew Stafford should be in your lineup today. No questions asked. Now going on to our running back, Kyren Williams, gets the 10th most points in points per game for running backs. However, he's playing against a team that gives up the 2nd fewest. Very similar to Jahmyr Gibbs here, but Kyren Williams is not quite to the caliber of Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm putting Kyren Williams as a should sit this week. I understand it's going to be hard to do it. We're going to look at other options. But just again, I'm trying this out, this new matrix here. I have him as a should sit if you need to try and be sneaky and get someone who might be able to help you more than Kyren Williams this week. Now, Puka Nacua.
Hakuna Matata.
We've got 2 elite receiver options for the Rams. Puka Nacua is the 2nd highest scoring receiver in points per game. Devontae Adams is 8th most in points per game, and they're playing against a team who gives up the 2nd most points to receivers. Man, this is a smash start for both these guys. Pretty obvious here, but I just want you to know you can expect big-time game today from Stafford, Nacua, and Devontae Adams. Cody Parkinson must sit. Harrison Mevis should sit. The defense for the Rams should sit. And Blake Corum, who has been improving, again, a matchup against a tough rushing defense, is actually a should sit today. On to our next game, another game at 4:25 p.m. Eastern time. We have the New Orleans Saints, we have the Carolina Panthers, at 7-6, going into New Orleans, who are at 3-10. The over-under is at 40.5, and I'm going with the under. Even though it's a low-scoring game, I expect a low-scoring game. Carolina Panthers are favored by 2.5, and I'm going with the upset, guys.
Average Joe's wins in a shocking upset.
I feel shocked.
I am going with the New Orleans Saints to win 2 in a row and set things right for the Tampa Bay Bucks here. They are going to win and cover. Let's start with our Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young, 29th rated quarterback in points per game, up against the team who gives it the 10th fewest. He is a must sit today. No Bryce Young for your teams today. Rico Dowdle's been a little up and down lately. He's rated 17th in overall points per game, up against a team who gives the 14th most. This is middle. He is a could start. He should be a flex running back 2 at best. We're not looking to get him out of our lineup. He is just not a smash play or a should play. He's a could play, and he'll probably be in your lineup. Tedero McMillan. We have King Tet ranked at 17th overall in points per game. Pretty good for the rookie, but in a tough matchup against the Saints who give the 10th fewest, this is a should sit or at least lower your expectations. Tet McMillan is not someone we are looking to go out of our way to play. We're actually going to see if we have better options out there. Jatavian Sanders should be playing tight end for the Carolina Panthers. He is a no-name in terms of trust here. He is a should sit. Ryan Fitzgerald is a could play. The defense for the Panthers is a could play, as both these are great matchups for their special teamers. These the kicker and defense aren't great for Carolina. They're good. They're okay. But they're playing against a team who gives the 6th most points to kickers and 9th most points to defenses. So these are could play. And Chuba Hubbard again as a could play as well. Xavier Legette, these are flexes now. Xavier Legette is a must sit. On the other side of the ball, Tyler Shuck, who has been improving. Nonetheless, he is the 39th rated quarterback in terms of points per game. He is hot, so I give him a little bump up to about 8 spots to 10 spots. So he's still in around the top 30 of quarterbacks per game. But he's a tough matchup against those Carolina Panthers who give up the 8th fewest points. I know he was my start of the week last week. He came through, and I'm telling you straight up, if I had Shuck, he's a must sit. Must sit. Do not chase the points. They are not coming in the game today. Tyler Shuck is a must sit. Devin Neal, I don't have him rated here because he's only gotten the start the last 3 games, even though he's been on the field for about 10. So I've got him trending upwards, but in a good matchup, not great, but a good matchup. The Carolina Panthers give the 10th most points to the running back position. He is a could play. And just to be transparent with you guys, I've got Devin Neal and I've got RJ Harvey. I'm sitting Harvey for Neal. I'm following what my thing is here, so we can all lose together, or you can laugh at me all you want. I'm putting Devin Neal ahead of RJ Harvey today. Receivers here, Chris Olave, a steady 18th in terms of points per game. However, it's a tougher matchup against the Panthers, who give up the 9th fewest. He is a should sit for me. I want to look for other options out there if you can find them. Juwan Johnson, top 10 receiver with a top 10 matchup. He is a must play today in terms of tight ends, and a could play if you're looking for a flex. The kickers and defense, Charlie Smythe and the defense for the Saints here, both are rated on the lower half of defenses and kicker, and it's a middle of the road matchup here. So these are guys you could play, but I have them as they should sit, as there should be better options out there with better streaming matchups. So I'm looking for other options out there, although I wouldn't stress too much, but they are on the red. I've got Charlie Smith and the New Orleans defense as should sits. All right, on to our next game. Another game here with the Tennessee Titans at 2-11, heading into the Bay of Santa Clara, going to play on the road against San Francisco, who are at 8-5. The over/under is at 44.5. Another game I'm going under. Am I going under on every single game? Wow. I am, I guess. So I'm going under on the 44.5 points in this game. San Francisco is favored by a whopping 12.5 points. That spread is just too big. I'm going with Tennessee to cover, but I am picking the 49ers to win. All right, let's go to the Tennessee Titans real quick. Cam Ward is a should sit. Tony Pollard, even though he had a great game last week, is a should sit. Alec Eilmanor is a should sit. Chick Okonkwo is a could play the tight end spot. Joey Sly is a must sit. Tennessee defense, you can play them, and Tajay Spears is a should sit. On the 49ers side of the ball, we've got a lot more green on this one. We got Brock Purdy. He's a could play, but I got him as a personal bump up as a should play today, as I have him at the start of the week. So the Matrix says to have him as a could play. I'm going that I think they're going to have an opportunity to get some work done in this one. So I'm putting him as a could play, as a personal bump. So I just want to be transparent there again, as the Titans give the 10th most points to quarterbacks. Brock Purdy is the 14th rated quarterback in terms of points per game. Christian McCaffrey is the second best running back in terms of points per game. And Tennessee has been a little sneaky with their ranking here. They went from 3rd most points allowed to running backs. Then 2 weeks later, it was 6th most. Now they're 9th points. They've actually been slowing down running backs lately. So I took a little bit of a deeper dive. Why were they rated as such an easy matchup for so long earlier? It's because they're against Jonathan Taylor. Both times he had 30 points, which means, in my opinion here, against the elite of the elite, they can't stop them. Against the good to middle of the road, they actually slow them down more than you would expect. So their rating is skewed towards great players, but guess what? McCaffrey is a great player. So we're going to go straight up with the ranking here, and McCaffrey, of course, is a must play. Juwan Jennings, at the 37th ranked receiver in points per game, in a plus matchup against Tennessee, who gives up the 8th most points to the receiver. I have him as a could play, so that means he's going to fall into a flex spot if you have no other options. George Kittle is a should play. Eddie Pinheiro is a could play. And the defense for the San Francisco 49ers, they're the worst rated defense in terms of fantasy points scored, guys. They've scored the least amount of points in fantasy football as for a defense. However, They're going against the Tennessee Titans, who give up the third most points for against defenses, which means, again, the matrix here means they are a could play. I don't have them as an awesome. They're kind of a streaming defense that will overperform what they've been doing. Now for flexes here on the San Francisco side, Ricky Pearsall, I'm as a should sit. He hasn't shown us anything, and being that it's up to you, but there's no reason. There's nothing to indicate that he should be in your lineup. All right, our next game here, another 4:25 kickoff. We have the Indianapolis Colts, who are falling down at 8-5, up against the Seattle Seahawks at 10-3. This game has a 43-point over/under, and I'm going under once again. And the Seattle Seahawks are favored by 14 points. Oh, I didn't pick this one. So I'm going to do this now. I didn't write this one down. Let's see. I guess I'll take Colts to cover. That number's just too big. And I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks to win this one. All right, let's go on this Colts side of the ball here. We're going with Phillip Rivers off the street and or Riley Leonard. They're going to probably split sometime today. Expect Rivers to start. I don't know if he'll finish. This is in terms of what they have, the actual players, these are bad quarterbacks right now in a middle-of-the-road matchup. We don't play bad quarterbacks unless it's a great matchup. So these are should sits. If you want to go for the glory play just for the fun and put Phillip Rivers in there, I would not expect a good day today. Jonathan Taylor in a tough matchup against the Seattle Seahawks, who give up the 6th fewest points to the position, although he is the number 1 rated running back for the season. He has been trending down lately, guys. I'm going to have him as a could start. You're never going to sit Jonathan Taylor, but lower your expectations. If you're just going to rank him in terms of what you've got, he might fall as low as a flex or RB2 here. Just keep that in mind. Michael Pittman I have as a should sit. Tyler Warren, 5th rated receiver, up against a team who gives up the 6th most points to tight end. Tyler Warren is a smash play today in terms of the tight end position, although there's a lot of question marks with how this game's going to go with Phillip Rivers and Riley Leonard. Blake Grupe is a must-sit. Indianapolis defense is a could play, and our receiving flex options, Josh Downs, a must-sit. Alec Pierce is a should-sit. On the Seattle side of the ball here, we've got Sam Darnold, not rated as high as you think because they rest on their defense. He's the 23rd ranked quarterback in terms of points per game. In a middle-of-the-road matchup, he is a could start, but there's probably better options out there. Kenneth Walker, similar to Darnold, not ranked high enough for the defense they're playing against here. He's a could start. So I haven't fallen down to your flex spot, guys. He is not an RB1, probably not even an RB2. He's a flex, so it depends on what you have available here. Although I'm looking around, there's not a lot of green running backs out there today. So Kenneth Walker's probably going to be in your lineup. Jackson Smith-Njigba, ranked number 1 with a plus matchup. He is a smash play today. Must start, obviously, but expect his ceiling. No limitations on his ceiling today. A.J. Barner, a middle-of-the-road tight end, but in a really good matchup, so he is a could start. The kicker, Jason Myers, number 1 rated. Man, they got so many number 1s. They got the number 1 rated receiver, number 1 rated kicker, number 1 rated defense in terms of fantasy points scoring per game. Jason Myers, who's been hot this week, but it's a tough matchup in terms of points allowed to kickers. He's going to be a could play. We're not going to pick up a streamer there, but if you've got 2 kickers on your roster, there might be a better option today, as crazy as that sounds. So that's the same kind of way we're going here with the Seattle defense. They've been great as well, but against they're playing against a team who give the 3rd fewest points to the defenses. But again, with Phillip Rivers and Riley Leonard playing, a lot of these numbers are going out the window today. So I'm as a could start. I'd probably give them the bump, but they should be a should start with Phillip Rivers on the lineup today. Cooper Kupp, you could play. It's a good matchup for receivers here. And Zach Charbonnet is a could play as well. He's a middle-of-the-road running back in a middle-of-the-road matchup. So he's a could play. So Seattle is the only one that doesn't have any red in their lineup that as I've gone through. They've got all yellows and 1 green in Jackson Smith-Njigba. So you don't have to actively sit any of your Seahawks, although we're not giving them a bump up for awesome plays except for Jackson Smith-Njigba. All right, our next game here is our Sunday night game, 8:20 p.m. Eastern time. The Minnesota Vikings at 5-8 up against the Dallas Cowboys at 6-1. This one has an over-under of 48 points, and I finally picked a game to go over the over under. So this one I'm going over. Dallas is favored at home by 5.5. I'm going with Minnesota to get the upset to win and cover this game.
Average Joe's wins in a shocking upset.
I feel shocked.
I guess they haven't won yet, so maybe it's not they haven't won as the upset. Maybe it's just a bold move.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
All right, let's go over to the Minnesota Vikings side of the ball. J.J. McCarthy is not rated high, but they're playing against Dallas, who give up the most points to the wide receiver position. This is a could play for McCarthy, and I'm giving him the personal wingman bump as he should be a should play. This is someone you should try to get in your lineups today as a back end streaming quarterback. In terms of back end, I mean like a top 10, 11, 12 quarterback. So he's a could play, and I'm giving him personal bump up as a should play. Aaron Jones, again, a middling running back in terms of fantasy points per game, but are playing against Dallas, who give the 6th most. He is a could play. Being that he's a banged up and going to split time, I'm not going to give him the extra bump that I would give McCarthy in the passing game. So he's a could play. He's going to be a flex for you today. Justin Jefferson, our start of the week, he's ranked 31, guys, in points per game in the receiver position, but they're going against the Cowboys who give the most points. So this is a could play in terms of our matrix, but I'm giving him the personal bump as this is just, it's time. It's time for the breakout game finally for Justin Jefferson. He could play in everyone's lineup. I think he should play in yours. TJ Hawkinson is a should sit. Will Reichert is a should sit. The Minnesota defense, who is really good, they score the 6th most points, but in a tough matchup against the team who gives the 5th fewest, I am as a should sit as the matchup is stronger than the defense. And then let's see, Jordan Addison is a could play as this passing attack everyone should be bumped up a little bit. I got Jordan Mason as a could play, and we've got the backup tight ends here. Is it Jonathan Oliver and Jaylen Naylor or Justin Naylor? Whatever. All the other receivers here we're going to put as should sit. Let's get our main guys the ball in Addison and Justin Jefferson. On the other side of the ball here, the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott is rated as the 4th best quarterbacks in terms of points per game, but it is a tough matchup for quarterbacks. Minnesota gives up the 2nd fewest. This is a could play for Dak Prescott. Lower your expectations. Look for some better streaming options here. We're not actively getting him out of our lineup, but he's someone that the matchup is not good for him today. He's a could play. Javonte Williams is a plus player this year in terms of fantasy points scored in a middle-of-the-road defense, as the Minnesota defense is much better against the pass than the run. He is a should play, is Javonte Williams. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, even though they are elite, again, the Minnesota Vikings defense really does shut down the passing game, so I have them as could plays. They're going to be in your lineups. Lower your expectations here as the defense matchup is really, really tough. Jake Ferguson is a should play. Brandon Aubrey is a must play. The Dallas defense is a could play. And Ryan Flournoy is a should sit, as the passing game just won't be big enough to get in those extra 3rd and 4th receivers for the Dallas Cowboys. All right, on to our last game we're going to preview here real quick. We've got the Miami Dolphins heading into Pittsburgh on Monday night. The Dolphins come in at 6-7, and the Steelers are at 7-6. This is a 41.5 point over-under, so kind of low. Another game I'm going with the over. Very rare this week I'm going with the overs, guys, but this is one of them. And Pittsburgh is favored by 3 points, and once again, I'm going with a bold strategy.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
I'm picking the Miami Dolphins to win and cover this game. All right, let's break down some of our options here. We've got Tua, who is one of the worst quarterbacks in terms of points per game, right at 38, guys. 38! But it's a good matchup against the Steelers. You have the 6th most. I'm never going to tell you to play Tua. I'm just saying you could play him today. Devon Achane is elite at the 5th ranked running back in terms of points per game in a medium matchup, as they give the 10th fewest do the Pittsburgh Steelers. But you're not going to sit Achane. He is a should play. Jaylen Waddle as the 16th rated wide receiver in points per game against the Steelers. You give the 6th most. Bernie had him as a start of the week, and I agree, he is a should play this week. Darren Waller, he's ranked at 14th in points per game. Keep in mind he had a game where he left early in his first game, or last week where he had a low-scoring game. So he's only played like 4 or 5 games. So, the one dud due to injury and the one dud out of his 5 games really sets him back. But even with that, he's still the 14th rated tight end. But they're going against Pittsburgh Group, the 5th most. I have him as a could play in my matrix, but I'm giving him the personal bump as a should play this week. On the tight end, he's definitely going to be in your lineup this week, in my opinion. Or he should be in your lineup, in my opinion, this week. Riley Patterson's been doing really well lately, rated 16th in terms of kicker, in a good plus matchup, who give the 8th most points to the Steelers. He is a could play. The Miami Dolphins defense, I've been playing the last 2 weeks, and they've given me 8 points or more both weeks. They are rated as a 27th defense, but I consider them the hot defense, as they were playing much better than they were throughout the season. However, the Pittsburgh Steelers give up the 11th fewest, so it's kind of a middle. I've got them as a could play. I actually might drop them for the Giants defense this week. I'm looking for last-minute streaming options, so I've been streaming in the last 2 weeks. I'm not stressed about it, but I may try and make a move if something else presents itself in the last minute. Now for some flex options for the Dolphins here. If Achane is out, which he's expected to play, Jaylen Wright is a should play, and Ollie Gordon is a could play. And I would say drop them both down a tier if Achane plays like we expect. Jaylen Wright is a could play, should sit kind of that range. It depends on if you think that Achane's going to get all the work or not. This is kind of a workload play, then we're just unsure. So I would not really look to play either of these flex options. This is really based on whether or not Achane is in or out. And at the moment, we expect Achane to be in. On the Pittsburgh side of the ball, Aaron Rodgers had a good game last week, rated as the 27th quarterback in points per game in a decent matchup, but not great. The Dolphins give the 11th most. Again, my matrix says he's a should sit this week. He's not make the round of streamer this week. Jaylen Warren, a middle good running back in a middle matchup. He is a could play. DK Metcalf in a tough matchup. I actually have DK as a should sit this week. Jonnu Smith is a could play, as they're playing against the team that gives it the 3rd most points to the tight end position. And Freiermuth falls in that same category. Pick your favorite Steelers tight end as a could play, a back end tight end. Not good enough to be a flex. The Pittsburgh defense, they're going to be without TJ Watt most likely. This is a good matchup for a good defense, so I'm as a should play. Although with the news of Watt being out, I might bump him down to a could play area here. I'm just giving the knockdown, but my matrix says they are a should play. But again, if you really think that the absence of TJ Watt's going to make a difference, bump them down in your expectations. Now for the flex options for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I got Kenneth Gainwell as a good play, could play. So he falls in the range of flex, nothing better this time. And Calvin Austin will be on your benches. All right, guys, let's see. We went through all that. There's no 4th and long this week. There's no more Wingman Jam. There's no Fantasy Court. So we're going to get right into this week's mailbag.
You've got mail.
You've got mail. Wingman Fantasy Football.
Mailbag!
All right, this one comes in from Timbo Slice. Timbo Slice, thanks so much for always sending in your messages here. All right, this one. Hey, Wingman, what are your thoughts on playing lesser players with great matchups over your season-long studs with awful matchups when it comes to playoff time? Because this is win or go home. All right, well, let's talk about it for a quick second. I've heard a few theories of thought here. Someone's like, well, what would make you kick yourself the most if you sat one of your better players in terms of season long to go for the streaming matchup here? And if you were wrong and the stud plays great on your bench, you'll feel worse. And if you went the other way, played your stud and he had a bad game and your streaming option had a great game, you're like, well, I just rode with my studs. You can rationalize the loss. Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm not going to look down as I should sit studs or I should play streamers. I'm just going to say we're done trying to collect points for the season. It is truly a week-to-week battle. You have to win your matchup this week. Some of this might come down to what you think your projections are, or like if half the games have been played and you still have options to pivot on some high seat, like boom bust players here, for example. I'm just going to tell you this. I am not afraid of streaming players here or moving up players that would be lesser in your lineup. Let's put it this way. Right now, I mean, there's a chance for change here, but I'm sitting Breece Hall because of the matchup and the situation, and I'm sitting RJ Harvey because of the matchup, and I'm putting Devin Neal in. Will I be right? Will I be wrong? I'm going with the process here. I trust the process. I'm going with the player who's going to get just as much opportunity in a better matchup, and hoping for that to be the case. I'll let you know on our next show if it was right or wrong, if it affected a win or a loss. So we can ride this one out together. So let's put it this way. I like RJ Harvey. I like Breece Hall, but they are not studs. So let's put it that way. I'm not going to bench Josh Allen for Tua, even though I've got Tua with a better matchup. You know what I'm saying? There's degrees here. So, but someone who falls into a range of RJ Harvey, who's a RB2, I'm going to put in that back end flex into that spot there, for example. So I'm just kind of giving you an example of what I'm actually doing here. Let me see if I can find somebody else real quick who might fall into that situation here. Let's see. So I've got McCarthy is actually equal with Dak Prescott. I gave him a personal bump, so I'm not going to say that for you guys here. But I would consider McCarthy over Dak Prescott, for example. They're playing against the team who give the most points to quarterbacks when Prescott's going against a team who gives up the second fewest. So the matchups are the complete different situation here, and their rating is the complete different rating. So you have a bad quarterback with a great matchup and a very good, great quarterback against a bad matchup. So that puts them even to me. That's why I wouldn't necessarily automatically put McCarthy over Prescott, but that's just showing you now they're tied where they wouldn't be tied any other week. Let's see if I can find somebody else real quick. Let's see. There's not a lot of green quarterbacks this week. I'm not going to lie. I got Matthew Stafford as my only smash play. Would I play Stafford over? Let's see. I have him playing over Goff. That might be pretty obvious anyway. I'd play Stafford over Prescott. That might be obvious. I'd play Stafford over Allen, probably. I mean, that'd be the risky play. That's one that's really hard to do because Allen can get rushing touchdowns. Maybe Allen's his own beast. I'd play him over Hurts, Stafford over Hurts, stuff like that. So I would play the matchups here. Let's put it that way. And there are degrees on how good the player you're considering benching to how bad the player you're considering on elevating. So just with that being said here, play smart. Don't trust your process if you've got one there. I know we're doing this for the first time with this major here, so I'm going to give that disclaimer here. You don't have to trust me yet, but I'm trusting my process and I'm sharing it with you. So with that being said, I would not be afraid to sit a top player for a lesser player if the matchups are so extreme. I'm going for it. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I know we got this out late, but we've got some better information, and it gave me some time to get my new start-sit matrix together here. Again, they're rated as a must play, should play, could play, should sit, must sit. That's hard to say should sit without saying something else, right? Tongue twister. All right. With that being said, guys, thank you so much. You can find all of our podcasts, all of our audio feeds on your favorite podcasting platform. Just search Wingman the League when you go to your podcast platform, and we'll come to the top of your search. And why search when next time you could just hit the follow button right now, and we'll be in your feed next time you open up your podcast app. And while you're there, guys, do me the favor, get us a 5-star review and spread the word to your friends. That's how we get new listeners. And if you want to watch our show, we are on YouTube at wingmanfantasyfootball.com/YouTube or youtube.com/wingmanfantasyfootball. When you head over there, guys, do me the favor, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you have any start-sit questions, you can get them in, and I will respond to them in the chat and or comment section here as well. Again, if this show is going a little long for you and you're like, I don't have time for this, our Sunday morning quickie will be out shortly after this one. I'm going to record that next, which will cut through the bare bones in terms of players that are in and out for today and Monday night. So with that being said, guys, may your glasses be full, your mugs stay frosty, and we will see you next time.